Did you know ancient Egyptians used crocodile dung as a form of contraception? Seriously. And no, their life wasn't just about pharaohs, pyramids, and drinking Nile water. Today, we're ditching the golden sarcophagi and busting some major myths to unearth the fascinating, often gritty reality of daily life for an ordinary Egyptian commoner. From their bizarre beauty routines to their surprisingly modern homes, you'll be amazed at how different and yet how similar their world was to ours. So, grab your papyrus scroll and let's travel back in time. Imagine the sun rising over the Nile, casting a golden glow on the fields. For an ancient Egyptian farmer named, let's say, Kenaman, the day starts before the sun is even fully up. There's no snooze button here. He'd wake up on a reed mat, maybe on the flat roof of his house to catch the cool morning air. The first order of business? Breakfast. Forget your avocado toast. We're talking a hearty chunk of coarse barley bread, maybe some onions or leeks, and a mug of beer. Yes, beer. It was a staple of the Egyptian diet for everyone, including children, because it was packed with nutrients and safer to drink than the river water. After this quick meal, Kenaman would grab his simple tools, a wooden hoe, maybe a sickle, and head out to the fields. His wife, Merit, would have her own morning routine. She'd get the children ready, grind grain into flour for the day's bread, and make sure there was enough beer brewed. Life was a team effort. If Kenaman was a farmer, his work was dictated by the seasons of the Nile, the flooding, the planting, and the harvest. He'd spend his day digging irrigation channels, ploughing the rich black soil left by the flood, or harvesting wheat and barley under the scorching sun. It was back-breaking labor, but not everyone was a farmer. In the bustling towns and cities, you'd find artisans. Picture a potter's workshop, the air thick with the smell of wet clay. A craftsman named Bak would be at his wheel, his hands deftly shaping jars, bowls, and plates. Nearby, a weaver might be creating intricate linen textiles, which Egypt was famous for. Carpenters would be building furniture, and metalworkers would be crafting tools and jewelry. And then, there were the scribes, the educated elite. For them, the day involved not a hoe, but a reed pen. They were the accountants, the lawyers, and the administrators of ancient Egypt, meticulously recording everything from grain harvests to court proceedings on sheets of papyrus. Their work was less physically demanding, but required years of intense training. As the sun began to set, the workday would wind down. Kenaman would trudge home, tired but satisfied. The evening was a time for family. They'd gather for the main meal of the day, which would be more substantial than breakfast. More bread and beer, of course, but also a stew of lentils or beans, with plenty of vegetables like garlic, cucumbers, and lettuce. Meat was a luxury, usually saved for festivals, but fish from the Nile was common. As darkness fell, the family would gather together. Without electricity, their entertainment was simple but meaningful. They'd tell stories, myths of the gods, tales of heroes, or just local gossip. This oral tradition was how culture and history were passed down through generations. After a long day, they wouldn't stay up late. Sleep came early, ready to repeat the cycle all over again at dawn. So, where did our farmer Kenaman and his family actually live? Forget the grand temples you see in pictures. The average Egyptian home was much humbler. It was usually made from mud bricks, a simple mixture of mud, straw, and water baked hard in the sun. These bricks were cheap, easy to make, and surprisingly good insulators, keeping the inside cool during the day and warm at night. The typical house was a small, rectangular structure, often with just a few rooms. Many had flat roofs, which were used as an extra living space, a place to sleep on hot nights, cook, or do chores. Some homes, especially in crowded towns, might have been 2 stories high. Step inside, and you'd find a simple, functional layout. There would often be a central courtyard open to the sky, which let in light and air. The main room was for living and eating, while smaller rooms were used for sleeping and storage. The floors were just packed earth, maybe covered with reed mats. What about furniture? It was minimal. You'd find low wooden stools, small tables, and perhaps a wooden chest for storing clothes and valuables. Beds were often just a raised platform or a simple mattress stuffed with reeds or wool. And despite the simplicity, people still had personal items. Little cosmetic pots, a simple piece of jewelry, or a child's wooden toy show that these were real homes, filled with the stuff of everyday life. Now, let's talk about hygiene. In a hot, dusty climate, staying clean was incredibly important. While they didn't have indoor plumbing, Egyptians were quite meticulous about personal cleanliness. They bathed daily, often using water from the Nile or a nearby canal. They used a form of soap made from animal fat mixed with chalk or natron, a type of salt. Both men and women were famous for their use of cosmetics. The iconic black kohl eyeliner wasn't just for beauty. It was believed to have magical healing properties and help deflect the harsh sun's glare. They also used green eyeshadow made from malachite. Keeping clean was not just about comfort, it was deeply tied to their religious beliefs. Purity was essential for being right with the gods. Life wasn't all work and no play. The ancient Egyptians knew how to have a good time. Food, as we've seen, was central. Their diet was healthier than you might think. Beyond bread and beer, they ate a wide variety of vegetables and fruits like dates, figs, and pomegranates. The Nile provided plenty of fish, which was a key source of protein. On special occasions and religious festivals, there would be feasts. These were major community events where people would gather to eat, drink, and celebrate. Imagine the whole village coming together, with music playing and everyone sharing food. When they weren't working or feasting, they had other ways to relax. Board games were incredibly popular. The most famous one is Senet, which means passing. We've found Senet boards in tombs from all periods of Egyptian history, including King Tut's. It was a game of strategy and luck, and they believed the winner was protected by the gods. Music and dancing were also a huge part of their social life. They had harps, lutes, flutes, and drums. Dancers, often women, would perform at banquets and religious ceremonies. And as mentioned, storytelling was the prime-time entertainment of the ancient world, a way to connect, educate, and entertain each other in the evenings. These gatherings weren't just for fun, they were vital for strengthening social bonds and creating a sense of community. Of course, life in ancient Egypt wasn't an idyllic paradise. It was tough, and people faced constant challenges to their health and well-being. Without modern medicine, common ailments could be deadly. Infections from cuts or insect bites were a serious risk. The water, while essential, could also carry dangerous parasites, leading to diseases like schistosomiasis. Their medical practices were a fascinating mix of practical remedies and magic. A doctor, or SWNW, might set a broken bone with a splint, a surprisingly effective technique. But for an internal illness, they might prescribe a magical spell or a potion with bizarre ingredients, believing sickness was caused by evil spirits. Priests often doubled as healers, using incantations to drive out the demons of disease. Life expectancy was much shorter than it is today. If you survived the perilous years of childhood, you might live to be 35 or 40. Many women died in childbirth, and infant mortality was high. This harsh reality meant that children were cherished. They were seen as a blessing from the gods, and families were typically large to ensure some children would survive to adulthood. Kids had a relatively carefree childhood, playing with toys like wooden animals, dolls, and balls. Boys would learn their father's trade, while girls would learn household skills from their mother, preparing for their roles as adults from a young age. So, as we look back across thousands of years, what can we learn from the daily life of an ordinary Egyptian? We see echoes of our own humanity: the love for family, the desire for a comfortable home, the need for community and connection. These are universal human experiences. A mother comforting a sick child, friends laughing over a game, a family sharing a meal. These scenes are as relatable today as they were 4,000 years ago. At the same time, the differences are stark. Their world was shaped by forces we barely think about: the annual rhythm of a river, a deep belief in magic, and a complete lack of modern technology. Their understanding of the universe was vastly different from our scientific worldview. Yet, by stepping into their mud-brick homes and walking through their fields, we gain a profound appreciation for their resilience, their ingenuity, and their spirit. Understanding their daily struggles and simple joys helps us appreciate the comforts of our own lives and see the long, unbroken thread of human experience that connects us all. The pharaohs may have built the pyramids, but it was the ordinary people, the Kenemans, and the Merits, who built ancient Egypt. Thanks so much for joining me on this journey back in time. If you found this fascinating, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next adventure into the past. See you next time.